Welcome, Cancer, your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 25th of May for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead, first of all, then on screen, your adventure at the beginning of the week, always an important backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences point by point to give you a clear picture of what you can expect by the end of the video in terms of your energy, your work, your relationships, and finance. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. The energy in the sign of Gemini is very powerful for us all. It's very much about communication, and we think about Gemini as the messages we send, and it can be our conversations. But for you, the cluster of the Sun, Uranus, and the ruler Mercury are in your 12th house, which could see you doing some deep research. It may even see you doing some deep thinking. But by the end of the week, Cancer, we have a blue moon. And obviously, moons are very powerful for you because of your ruler, the moon. And that in the sign of Sagittarius, for you personally, is very much about practicalities and getting a good balance between being in touch with our feelings, but also making sure we're up together when it comes to those everyday routines is part of what that dynamic is about. But Mars, the planet of action and also desire, is in a very friendly part of your scope this week. And that means you could be attracted towards people who are more into the psychological domain, perhaps interested in healing or personal development. But there may be one friend that jars a little bit with you this week because Mars does feed into that lunation in a challenging way and also clashes badly with Pluto on Tuesday. It's an aspect that hasn't happened for a couple of years, but there's another aspect that day which provides an enormous opportunity for you. I'm going to tell you about that now. So on the screen, Cancer is your event chart at the start of the week. As ever, we can be mindful of the two luminaries and particularly your ruler, the moon. And the moon is just coming to the end of the practical sign of Virgo, but you can see is opposite the very dreamy energies of Neptune. I think your imagination can be incredible as you come into this week, but you may have also had some very vivid dreams. But you can see that you do have the sun in a square with the north node and also with the south. So that's a T square. The issue here is the North Node is in the part of your chart to do with your philosophies, and it can be to do with your desire for to learn, to travel, to expand your world. But somehow or another, your thinking at the moment may not quite align with your sole purpose. It's not a criticism, it's just something that may require a bit of a tweak because the air energy of Gemini is so cerebral, it's more difficult to stay in touch with how we feel. So, for example, if you are feeling a little quieter, don't judge it. However, by Tuesday, the Sun is going to link fabulously well with Pluto. And if there is some deep work that you're doing that's very much about evolving, maybe within you, it could be to do with your external circumstances, real progress can be achieved. But let's just imagine that in some kind of association, there is a clash of values because Mars, the planet of desire, is in a very friendly location, but it is in a one that's to do with your future. But that clash with Pluto, particularly around a financial matter, may mean that uh, your view of a situation really doesn't chime with someone else's. And because you could be feeling very sensitive this week, you might not be quite sure how to deal with this. And even if it is in a professional relationship as much as a personal one, as Venus in your sign moves forwards and comes into a square with Saturn by Friday, which is exact, all of this could be making you feel quite sensitive. I think it's important to know that by the time of the summer solstice on the 21st, of June, you are going to move into a completely new epoch. It's a new, fresh start for you. And the present period you're in could be where you're bringing some parts of your situation to an end. Maybe it's just tying up some loose ends. And by the time we get to the full moon at the end of the week, the blue moon, it is about getting that balance between the practicalities and also that need for peace, quiet, and tranquility that's reflected by those more Gemini energies. And that's where Mars comes in again. If you're trying to perhaps push yourself out to interact and socialize because you don't want to let anyone down, I don't necessarily think that's the right thing to do. So it's a week really to be a little bit more strategic. It's not necessarily about bending into every demand that comes your way, professionally or personally or in terms of socially. It's more about knowing what you stand for. And if you need time to just uh, let something percolate through you, and you're not necessarily in the mood to join in and be as dynamic as usual, that's absolutely fine. In terms of the tarot, I'd say this is almost like a little bit of a hermit week, but there is the potential for something dramatic to evolve if you're in touch with that inner world. I'm going to summarize those four areas of vitality, work, relationships, and finances next. But just to say, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope reports. It used to be two with 30% off. Now it's three for the price of one. The one you pay for is your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that play out in our lives, get a more intimate understanding of those. And the ones you get three are your 12 months transit forecast, but also your draconic soul analysis. Please see below for more. The draconic charts particularly can help us to look at life, ourselves, and astrology in a very different way. If you've yet to watch your Mars 6-week forecast video, please see that on the screen. If you've yet to watch that Mars square Pluto, it's really a high voltage clash. It hasn't happened for 2 years. It won't happen for another year and a half. That's on the screen too. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be an absolute pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. I work with people the world over, and it would be a privilege to help you. And if you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope, fire to your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, please do that too. I feel that daily horoscopes can be great because if they're well written, they're thoughtful, they take the big picture in as well as look at the detail of that day, whether we're looking at them in terms of our ascendant, the sun, the moon, our sidereal sun, whatever, they can be very insightful. Please see the link below for more. So to summarize, I think this is a week, to be honest, when your energy could be a bit delicate. In fact, your nervous energy could be quite high. And one of the things that could exacerbate that will be any politics, particularly if you're misaligned in any relationship, whether it's professionally or business wise. As far as your work's concerned, with Neptune continuing right at the top of your chart at the present time, showcasing your creativity is important. However, with Venus and Jupiter in your first house, doing things on your terms is important too. But there could be a bit of a clash, particularly with a professional colleague that doesn't really get that more tender but nurturing, but also brilliant side of your nature. If they're very much focused on production, and they're not really interested in what soul energy you'll bring into the situation, a crunch point can be reached on Friday. When it comes to your financial situation, however, I think that Mars's uh, role in the 11th house, if you've got a real vision, Mars in Taurus can be very much about money. If you're really clear on what you're trying to achieve, his link with Venus in your sign at the start of the week is a good omen. But undoubtedly, that clash with Pluto suggests that if you've got an unrealistic hope, it could perhaps be brutally exposed this week. But equally, by the time we get to the full moon at the end of the week, particularly around your work, just be aware of office politics. But I think your finances can improve as we go into June, not least with Venus and Jupiter coming together, the two planets of fortune in your sign on the ninth. That's your chance to really shine. As far as your romantic situation is concerned, if you're solo, someone could show up this week that you really find very hard to ignore. But this person could show up through your social situation. And there may be something about them that you find very, very fascinating, not least because Venus in your sign is in a quincunx with Pluto in the eighth house, which can be a desire for deep intimacy. Venus here makes you very attractive. So someone may show their interest. They may not verbalize it. It could be through non-verbal language. But I think if you are aligned to someone that you like in a very spiritual way, that's the best indicator of the potential for future growth. It's been a pleasure being with you. Have a great week, Cancer. All the best and goodbye.